Hello, baby.
Hello, nasty. Hello there.
Hello.
I say hello.
Hello, friend. Well, hello, little girl. Hello, my treacherous friends.
Hello, operator.
The beginning of everything. Welcome back, my friends. It's showtime.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Brink of Sanity. It is episode 385. How you doing, Mark?
Good. How you doing?
Doing all right. Not too bad.
Good. This is our summer of Brink and summer of not doing Nick's show. Kind of. Wait, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, I didn't have my. I realized I didn't have the microphone in front of my. Can you hear me? It's good.
Yes, I can.
It's a good thing I'm just loud. I didn't have my.
Yeah, it sounds better now.
Okay. I was going to say this is our summer of Brink. No Nick shows, just Brink until we go back to talking Knicks. And do you miss the Nick show?
I guess I miss the show itself, but I don't miss what's going on right now because it's like all it is like we're waiting for the trade to happen and it's not happening. So there's literally nothing to talk about. So there's really no point in. That's why.
Yeah. Well, we can cover stuff when it gets closer or when things are actually going on. It's also like it's hard to talk about like the off season over and over again when nothing's actually changing. Like I look on Twitter and people are posting things about like, oh, this is Cam Reddish's stats on a per 48-minute basis. If you they do all these stats, you're like, I mean, really, it's the off season. You could just rest on this. You could just put a rest to it and just start again in September.
Yeah, agreed.
But anyway, so I heard this and I got excited.
Okay.
I've heard that other podcasts are so if you get a high profile guest, who's paying who? I mean, usually guests just come on because they're guests, but I've heard that there are other shows, there are other podcasts out there where the guests are paying to come on the podcast because they want to promote their material.
Really?
Yes, and apparently there was an article about this in I think Bloomberg, talking about guests are paying up to $50,000 for an interview on a popular podcast.
You know what? We will undercut that. 5,000. You can be interviewed on this show.
That's it. A $5,000 special.
Saving $45,000. I mean, what a bargain.
You're saving $45,000 and probably more than that in listeners hearing your stuff. Why can't Jay? Can you get out there and get because if we get, let's just say we charge $50,000. Let's just say we don't do the special, we charge full $50,000. I mean, we get a couple guests on there. We're pretty good for the year. We don't have to do anything else.
Yeah, I mean, really, what would we have to do? 5 guests, and we'll be making more money than our normal jobs.
I'll tell you what we will do. We will work extra hard. We'll take 20 guests. How's that? Yeah,
absolutely.
And all the money will be put back into our lives, not the show. Can you imagine? Actually, we got $50,000 per guest, but we only are allowed to use the money for the show. So suddenly our show just gets more the most professional show possible, but we're still we don't actually get to use the money for our own life.
I'd actually be fine with that because I think if we got to put that much money into the show, it would get popular enough where we'd actually make some money.
That's a fair point. We'd have a professional studio. We'd actually have Jay would actually be able to hire someone to do all the sound, so there'd be no issue with that. We could hire a marketer.
I'm having issues right now, and it's driving me absolutely up the wall.
What are you having issues with?
I have this program that's supposed to pull all the chats from YouTube and Discord and Twitch all in one site, and it's not pulling the Twitch chat. So now I have to have the Twitch chat and the YouTube chat open at the same time. Very minor thing, doesn't really affect the show. Driving me absolutely up the wall, and I can't even focus right now.
Maybe could you just focus and just forget about it for right now and just do the show?
I'm gonna have to. I have no choice. It's just there's always something. I if we had money, I would hire somebody and be like, Fick, make the show run like a normal goddamn show so I don't have to do tech support all the time. It's so aggravating.
Do you think if we had $50,000 per, if every week we got $50,000 from a guest, we could afford not to hear your cat in the background?
No. my cat was silent for I worked from home today. My cat was silent all day. As soon as I start recording, it's time.
Okay. So I have this week in disagreements or arguments with my wife.
Okay.
You want to hear?
To recap, I sided with Mark, surprisingly, on the last two arguments because earlier in the show, a couple years ago, I think you were kind of ridiculous in some of your takes, but I've been agreeing with you lately.
What are my more ridiculous takes? Give me one take you were like, Mark, you're out of your goddamn mind.
Wasn't there something with like water at the mall or something ridiculous?
Oh, there was something where we've disagreed about water in our household. My wife does not want the kids drinking out of any sink. Like she only wants the kids drinking filtered water. And at some point, I think I was bringing home water from New York City because I wanted water with fluoride, which I did that a little bit. That was stupid, or not stupid, but just like I can't keep bringing back water from New York City. But anyway, at some point, my wife got us we have a whole house filtration water system. So now my wife doesn't care where they drink water out of.
And the whole valve cap thing was kind of ridiculous too.
Okay, the valve cap one, fine. For those recall that have. Anyone who's listening right now has probably heard the valve cap issue episode, but basically, I bought valve caps for my car, and there was a warning on that they may or may not have been bad for your health. I don't know how valve caps can be bad for your health, but they were $1.37, and I kept them anyway.
Right, because you don't want to pay an extra like $2 for the not poisonous valve caps.
Maybe they're all poisonous. Maybe you don't know. Maybe every valve cap on every car that's slowly killing humanity.
But anyway, you're on a streak now. I sided with you on the not paying 5 times as much for therapy, and I sided with you on using a sponge.
Okay. So this week, so a while back, my kids at school, they had like a plant. So your kids go to school, you pay a shitload in taxes, and once they get to school, every other day there's a new fundraiser to raise money because apparently the schools have no money whatsoever. Like every goddamn day. I wish public school was all inclusive. Like I thought paying your taxes, which is a lot of money, meant your school, that's it. You paid for school. But literally every other week there's a new fundraiser.
Yeah, I remember back in the day I was given like a brochure and I had to like ask everyone I knew to buy like overpriced pencils or just it's a sticker book. It's only $18.
Every goddamn week there's a new fundraiser. I also just like I'm happy to contribute, but like could you just stop doing a fundraiser? Have my kid ask me something for every week? Just like at the beginning of the year, go like, hey, if you give us an extra $100, we'll leave you the fuck alone. And I'd be like, that's fine. Here's $100. Stop having my kids shill everything possible at home.
Right.
But anyway, so they had a plant sale. And by the way, $100 we're getting off cheap because like there's just you end up buying so much crap.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so it was a plant sale. Kids bought plants, brought them home, and my daughter was like, "Can we plant this? Can we put these plants in the ground?" And makes sense. I put them in the ground,
mm-hmm.
and my daughter had bought. I think there was a parsley plant. There was a couple of others, and one of them was a tomato plant. And she's like, "We're going to grow tomatoes." That sound like a good idea to you?
If you have room to grow tomatoes, it sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, I have a backyard, so like I have a house, a backyard. So I have a place to put that down.
Yep.
If you were growing tomatoes, what would you do?
If I had a yard, I would put them in a row, a little spaced out.
Okay, we had one tomato plant, so it's just like
okay. Well,
I put it in the ground,
designated area for a tomato plant. Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't. To be honest, I didn't give a shit if it grew. Like if it grew, great. If it died, whatever. I'm not really going to do much for it. My daughter wanted to water it. We watered it. I also have sprinklers in the backyard, so like I figured like I didn't think much of it.
Mm-hmm.
Every once in a while, my daughter would be like, "Let's go check the tomato plant. Let's go check the tomato plant." So we'd go out there, and I'd see like a couple green tomatoes on there. I'd be like, "Cool." And then very recently, she's like, "Dad, let's go check the tomato plant." And we go out there, and there's a red tomato on there.
Okay, good.
So my daughter's like, "There's just one." I don't even know what happened to the other green tomatoes but anyway, there's one red tomato. And she's like, "Can I eat it?" What do you do?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. I mean, like, so I took the step of like, but before you eat it, let's go
rinse
wash
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then she ate it.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to be siding with me again this week. My wife's like,
be a hat
"What are
trick,
you doing?" She's like, "You can't like, there's all these chemicals back there when they spray for mosquitoes. And you're like, and I don't know what's back there. You can't have just eat tomatoes out of the ground. I'm like, they're out of the ground in the store. What's the difference?
I would trust yours more than the store ones.
Apparently, my wife did not. She was like, I'm so mad at you. She's like, how do you know? I was like, you saw us plant the tomato plant. And why didn't you say something then? She's like, I didn't think you were stupid enough to actually give her a tomato.
Okay.
I was like, how do people grow tomatoes? She's like, you have to buy like a tomato container to put over it to protect it from chemicals. And there are animals out there who get like their animal germs on there, or animal cooties on there. You have to like section off an area and have like a protective covering over the tomatoes. And because I didn't do that, now my daughter has a combination of animal cooties and I guess mosquito bug spray, because we spray for mosquitoes out there.
You know what this means?
What?
You're on a winning streak.
I am on a winning streak.
Because that is, I don't want to call your wife insane, but that is ridiculous.
Yeah. I do want to point out for all the fans, at home I'm on a 3-week losing streak. But on the show, I'm kicking butt.
Right.
On the show. At home, I'm just like, okay, she doesn't get the tomatoes from outside anymore. That's fine. Thanks for pointing it out. Honey, you know how I said we can grow a lot more tomatoes plants next year? I was lying.
Brooklyn Asian wants to know what the point of growing them is then.
I don't know. Isn't that how they get them in the first place? They're grown. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. Don't you trust our yard more than the farmer's yard?
You have no idea what they're spraying it with in the farm. You don't know who's picking it. What if somebody with Ebola picked your tomato and now...
What if every tomato getting picked on this farm? I'm going to the supermarket, and what if these are all tomatoes that were rubbed with monkeypox before they got to the store?
Not only that, once they're at the store, who's putting them out at the store, and then who touched the tomato and put it back? This could have been touched by 20 different people before you got it.
Right. At the supermarket, plenty of people go to the supermarket. They pick stuff up, put it down. Pick stuff up, put it down. That could be this versus no one is picking it up in my backyard.
You have an untouched tomato.
Yeah, I thought this was the perfect tomato to get from. And I
would agree.
I want credit for being smart enough to wash it. I mean, that I deserve credit for that, but like,
no, I mean that's all you need to do. You rinse it off, good to go.
I rinsed it off, and I asked my daughter, "How is tomato?" She said, "Delicious."
There you go.
Like, oh, cool. We can grow more tomatoes, or not, I guess.
You know what you should do now?
What?
Grow as many as you can, and then just tell your wife they're store bought.
I think she's not going to fall for that because she's not a moron.
No, you buy a couple like decoy store ones, but feed your daughter the yard ones.
Yeah, I don't think that would go over well. Do you have any fights you want to share, Jay?
I haven't really been in one lately. I feel like the dark cloud has like moved over to other people.
You left your dark cloud in the Queens.
There's no arguing. There's no like job drama.
You're living your best life.
It's been a pretty good year. Brooklyn Adrian said things your significant other does that annoys you. Example: squeezing toothpaste from the middle instead of the bottom. Does you do that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's fine. I don't really care that much. But yeah, my wife does that.
I would be the one that I don't do the middle, but if I don't do it exactly from the back, I hear about it. So I
eventually will roll it up and like get as much out as possible. So,
well, what I did is I just bought a second thing of toothpaste, and I'm like, this one's mine. I will squeeze it however I want. And
there's like, this is like our bank accounts. They're
exactly.
completely separate.
Exactly.
We can get a communal toothpaste to use for situations that are communal. Otherwise, stay away.
Well, this is the good thing about having 2 bathrooms now. I just put all my shit in the other bathroom. She has no idea what goes on in there. Squeeze the toothpaste however I want.
I like how you said she has no idea what goes on in there. If you know what I mean, Mark.
I'm being all sneaky. Just
that's awesome. You have your own bathroom. I don't. At one point in my life, I had my own bathroom. Before we had kids, at some point we had like 2 bathrooms in an apartment. But
reason
not anymore.
Number a million not to have kids.
What do you say?
Reason a million not to have kids.
Yes.
His other one was not drying the feet when you get out of the shower.
What do you mean drying the feet?
Well, you step right out of the shower, and then either the floor or the bath mat gets really wet.
I don't care about that one.
I got one of those like bath mats that is like absorbent, and they're made for that. So I could like.
So you mean like an uncomfortable one that no one likes standing on?
No, it was a little pricey, but it's actually very comfortable, and
I want comfortable like rugs, that little ruggy things.
yeah, it feels like a rug, but it absorbs stuff. It's got like the rug on top and the absorption in the bottom. So,
How much did you pay for this?
my wife bought it, so I don't know. It's probably better that way.
What if you found out it was $1,000? Would you be like?
I know it wouldn't be that, but
What if it is? Like, would you be like, okay, well that's your money. It's fine if you want to spend your money that way. It's totally cool.
technically, a bath mat would be communal and added the shared account. So yes, I would have a problem with $1,000.
It's like I spent $1,000 on it, and so that means you owe me $1,000, and you pay the next $1,000 in groceries.
Well, yeah, or just you paid 500 of that.
Do you ever guys get a situation? I just feel like it'd be like, you'd always be like, oh shit, she paid for the last $60. Okay, I got my thing for $60. I always feel like I would owe the other person, which would drive me crazy.
Like I said, at the end of the month, if it's like that, we just do a transfer and that's it.
And if you don't have the money, does she she shiv you? Stick a shiv and just stick it in you?
Yeah, I got scars all up and down my rib cage.
Jay, do you think, changing topics, do you think you go to the office, 4 days a week?
Yes.
Do you think it's awesome being in the office?
If by awesome you mean like one of the worst things ever, then yes, I wholeheartedly agree.
Do you know who Malcolm Gladwell is?
He's an author, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's written a bunch of best-selling books, including Tipping Point, Blink. Great writer, like an amazing writer.
Is he our next guest? Is he paying us $50,000?
He could afford to pay us $50,000. He could afford to pay us a lot more. So anyway, he was on a different podcast, which he may or may not pay to be on. Probably did not pay to be on. But Malcolm, you want to come on our show? Only $500 for you.
Hey, 500. There you go. That is 95% discount.
That is quite a discount.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so he was on another podcast, and he made some news in that podcast. The podcast was called Diary of a CEO Podcast. Have you ever heard of that podcast?
I have not.
I've literally never heard of that. Like, I don't get it. I've never even heard of this podcast. He goes on. Just come on our show.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go on podcasts nobody's heard of, why not? Although, when we look, they probably have like 30,000 listeners or something.
They probably have a lot more. I mean, Gladwell's probably a pretty big guest, so they probably have like 100,000 listeners. But
although, as we found, people will come on the show if you just ask. Like, we had John Henson on like 3 times. Like,
it's true.
You know, we just asked, and that was when we were like first doing the Knicks podcast. We had like no listeners.
In fairness, I think Gladwell is probably bigger than John Henson. He's a multiple. He's had multiple bestsellers. Anyway.
Yeah. In my world, John Henson's a better guest, but that's
really Gladwell's a pretty amazing. Okay.
Yeah, but I haven't read any Gladwell stuff, and I was a fan of John Henson. I'm just saying personally, I would rather have John Henson on because
I'm just shitting on your personal opinion. It's fine. Your
podcast
you
is
should.
all about.
Honestly, you read a lot of books. Like, you should read some of those books. They're really good.
I know. I'm reading Infinite Jest right now, and it's the longest book ever, and it's just such a slog.
Okay. Anyway, so he was on this podcast, and he made some news. And he basically focused on the topic of going into the office. He said that people needed to come into the office, and this was a New York Post article about the podcast episode. He said that people need to come into the office in order to regain a sense of belonging and to feel part of something larger than themselves.
No.
Have you ever? Does this describe how you've ever felt going into the office, that you're part of something larger than yourself?
Yeah, I just walk in every day and I'm like, oh, I just feel so like I'm contributing so much more by having taken that train into the office and then walked another 10 minutes. And especially on Tuesday when it was 97 degrees, that was awesome. I never felt more loved. So
I'll go on reading in a second, but I feel like basically Malcolm Gladwell is just proving with what he's saying, and I'll read more. He is so disconnected from reality because, like, you get to the point, I imagine, if you're super rich, as I imagine he is, and you live in this world of, like, I'm this writer and I'm about $1 million, I hang out with famous people. and you have no connection to what actually means to work a normal job or just be a normal human being.
Yeah,
So
why
you
is he
say
even
things
saying that? Like, has he even had an office job in the last like 30 years?
right. Like also, he's writing books. Was he writing them all in an office? Did he feel disconnected to Random House Publishing because he wrote the book while he was sitting in their office?
I mean, I'm
And
in
he,
an office now, and I can tell you pretty much nobody likes it in the office. My boss doesn't like it. My boss's boss doesn't like it. The only people that like it are the CEOs who take private cars into work and sit in a private office and don't even interact with anybody. They love it.
Malcolm Gladwell. On a side note, so I love his writing, but he has a podcast also, and on his podcast he did an episode where he compared. It was a long episode about this, but it's talking about your ability to remember things, and he asked people where they were on 9/11, and compared like people misremembering where they were when they were at 9/11 to you remember that NBC reporter who claimed that he was the anchor who claimed he was shot down or shot at while he was in a helicopter, and it turned out that never happened.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, what's his name again? Brian. You remember the name?
It was Brian. It was a Brian. I know it was Brian, but I'm forgetting his last name. But
Lied
yeah.
about the NBC reporter lied about the helicopter. Brian Williams.
Yeah.
Anyway, he said he said he claimed that he was in a helicopter. I guess that during the Iraq War that was hit by enemy fire and forced down. He told this lie. Anyway, he claimed misremembering where you were on 9/11 was the same thing as Brian Williams misremembering that he was not in a helicopter that was shot down.
Only if you were in the World Trade Center at the time.
Right, I agree.
That's the only way it's the same.
If people were casually forgetting like whether they were in the towers during 9/11, that would be similar.
Yeah.
Forgetting whether I was in my kitchen or in a neighbor's apartment when I heard about 9/11 is a little different.
The guy from the show The League had that problem.
Yes, he did. Because he didn't misremember, he just flat out lied.
For those of you who don't know, there's this comedy show, The League, that was on a few years ago, and one of the leads in it said he was in one of the towers, and it turns out he just made it up.
Yes.
I don't know why you'd make that up, but he did.
I don't know why you'd make that up either, but yeah. So anyway, Brian Williams made this up, and Malcolm Gladwell thought it was like, oh, memory's not so great. You just forget things. Anyway, so I heard him say that, and I was like, oh, this is a great author. He also might be out of his goddamn mind. But anyway, let me go on with this article. So he said, it's very hard to feel necessary when you're physically disconnected. Jay, when you're in the office, do you feel much more necessary at work?
Absolutely not. You know what? I worked like really hard today, and I got a lot accomplished. But when I was done, I was home, and I got to fix my floors, which I would not have done if I was commuting home. So like, I got more done.
By the way, I had to look up while I was reading about this guy. I was like, does he have a family? Looked up. Nope. Not married. Doesn't have a family. Not saying he doesn't. I'm sure he gets around, whatever he does. But I'm like, the reason he wants to be part of something is because he thinks of work as his family, as everyone's family.
Yep. He's one of those like bored, lonely people.
Yeah. You're like, like everyone, the reason people don't want to go into the office, there's two big reasons. People have lots of reasons, but I think the two big reasons are one, you have a long commute. Jay, would you have an issue going to the office if it was a 5-minute walk from your apartment?
I would have less of an issue, but I still like, what's the point? I still don't get the point. Like, I don't need to go into the office.
Right, but if it was a 5-minute walk, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. It's the commute that really makes it suck.
Yes. I mean, the commute, but it's also like the dressing up. It's the shared bathrooms. It's maybe there's a talkative person in your office that you just like stops you from concentrating. Like, there's plenty of things that I don't like about the office. Maybe there's, I don't know, a once in a lifetime virus going around, and you don't want to be in an office with a bunch of people. There's plenty of things.
I was going to say two things. You have lots of good reasons, but I think the commute being like, you got to give like your number one reason for not wanting to go to the office. I think most people would say the commute being the number one issue.
Yeah, I mean that's yes, but I do have a long list.
You have a lot of good complaints.
Yeah.
As we face the battle that all organizations are facing now in getting people back into the office, it's really hard to explain the core psychological truth, which is we want you to have the feeling of belonging, to feel necessary. And we want you to join our team. And if you're not here, it's really hard to do that. So basically, for you to buy into the bullshit, the psychological truth or bullshit your company is feeding, it's easier to trick you when you're in the goddamn office.
They want to gaslight you, and it's a lot easier in the office. I get it. But that's what it is. It's gaslighting.
Yeah. I mean, no one has ever basically sounded like, I am in favor of the masters, not the serfs. Like, he just sounds like he's like, it's all about the companies and fuck the people.
Yeah.
He goes on to say, it's not in your best interest to work at home. I know it's a hassle to come into the office, but if you're just sitting in your pajamas in your bedroom, is that the work life you want to live?
100,000%. Yes.
This is by someone who was a writer who likely writes in his pajamas.
Right. It's like, okay, every time you want to write a book, how about you dress up in business casual and then take a 40-minute train ride and sit in an office with a bunch of losers?
Yeah.
And then write.
I mean, the idea, is that how you want to, you know what? I understand your viewpoint, Malcolm Gladwell, but apparently society has voted and they all disagree with you. No one wants to go into the goddamn office unless they have to.
Yeah.
He goes on to say, don't you want to feel part of something? Yeah, I want to feel part of a family, not an office job. What, like, I understand, like, if your job is some, like, great, like, you're saving the world, but most jobs are not that.
No, not at all.
If my job was, like, helping the homeless, yeah, I want to be part of this mission we're on. If my job is just, like, whatever the fuck we all do, who gives a shit?
Agreed.
Like, what, like, and most of the jobs are also, have you noticed that most jobs now are like mission, they pretend there's a real mission?
They all have a mission statement, and it's like the cheesiest thing. My last job was like a cult, and before every meeting, they would read the mission statement.
Oh God!
It was weird. I did not like it.
It's like Uber, like their mission. I don't know what the actual mission statement is, but they're like, we're saving humanity by helping you move, by moving people, and you're like, you're a fucking taxi company that has better technology. That's all you are.
That charges 4 times the price when you actually need a ride.
Right, and you're trying to put other taxi companies out of business and so forth. But like, you're a predatory taxi company.
I heard it's not even really profitable. They're just collecting data, and they're going to sell the data, and that's how they're going to make their money.
They have to figure out how to make they make a lot of money, but they lose money. Like they spend a lot more than they ever make. They lose billions of dollars.
Yeah.
But somehow they'll turn it into a profit. And everyone uses the example of apparently Amazon lost a lot of money initially, and now they make a shitload of money. So at some point you figure out that magic formula. But anyway, if we don't feel like we're part of something important, what's the point? He said. If it's just a paycheck, then it's like what have you reduced your life to? Does he not understand the whole point of work?
Yeah, that's why it's called work. It's not called fun.
Yeah.
You don't go, hey, honey, I'm going to fun today.
Yeah. You know, there are like baseball players that if they weren't getting paid millions of dollars, wouldn't play baseball professionally. Like, and they have a fun job.
Right, exactly.
No one's going to do their job. Like, Malcolm Gladwell, are you writing a book if no one's going to pay you for the book? It's awesome that you like your job and all, but like...
Yeah, I don't think he'd be writing if nobody was reading it.
Anyway, his message, he basically said, don't you want to feel part of something? He added, I'm really getting very frustrated with the inability of people in positions of leadership to explain this effectively to their employees.
You can't because it's a lie. That's why you can't do it effectively.
I'm really unimpressed with our business leaders who can't freaking can't hypnotize our employees to come back in. Yeah. He added, if we don't feel like we're part of something important, what's the point? If it's just a paycheck, then it's like, what have you? Oh, I said that already. Yeah,
We
but
get it. That's okay. He's out of his mind.
he's out of his goddamn mind. I also they always talk about so people used to go to the office in New York City, and Jay does go to the office. I've been fully remote, so I don't go to the city really. But you go to the office, you buy lunch, right? So now they will talk about oh, all the businesses that the businesses used to support, they're hurting, so you need to come into the office and spend money around here to help those businesses out. I'm like, well, you know what? Instead I work from home and I spend money around here.
Yeah, exactly.
So the area I live in doesn't count, but the area you live in counts.
Right. Because you have to buy $13 sandwiches.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. An interesting moment of someone being just unbelievably out of touch.
There's a lot of that going around.
I know you work in a paper manufacturing plant, but you're doing God's work and be part of that. And
go
no
paper.
no one who drives a truck for Amazon is like, man, I'm so happy I'm part of this organization. It's not about the money; it's about being here.
Normally, I would get pissed off about pissing in a jar because I don't have time to make a bathroom stop, but I am part of something bigger, and it's totally worth it.
By the way, every job where you have to go in person, like plumbing, trucking, or anything else, all those people wish they could do the job remotely.
Yeah. Yep.
What's going on, Jay?
So we have to get to our main segment today.
Our main segment today.
We are doing.
Jay wants to design a game. So we are working on a game. Is that what you're going to say, Jay?
Yes.
Okay. Jay doesn't want to reveal everything about the game because Jay is weird. I would tell everything on the show, but Jay is weird again. Anyway, but part of our game might involve Would You Rather. And so each of us created some Would You Rathers for the show. And we're going to use them in the game later on. And I know...
So this isn't one of those oh, wouldn't it be cool if we did this? We're actually making a game. We're making a card game, like a social card game. And
Jay's like, fine, I'll tell everything. Go.
There's a bunch of different categories, and one of the categories is Would You Rather. And
Jay has been inspired by Cards Against Humanity, which was inspired by Apples to Apples.
Right. So we're gonna make our own game, and we actually are we're gonna have an introductory meeting with a card producer sometime in the next couple months. So we're writing cards right now.
It's going to be a long time before this comes out. But anyway, I thought
but it's happening. I'm just saying it's not one of those we always have these get rich schemes and then we never follow up on them. We're actually doing this one.
I thought we're doing the get poor slowly.
Well, we were doing that for the last 14 years, but now, maybe.
Okay. Anyway, so the point being, we have a bunch of categories. One of them is Would You Rather. We have to write that. We're going to write them, and we came up with a bunch of them for the show to ask each other. So you want to start?
Yes. I just want to give a shout out to Matt, MAT_video_games. He has a really cool variety stream. If you like video games and funny streamer, he's really good. So give him a follow on Twitch. And
why are you bringing him up?
He's in the chat, and
okay.
so I was reminded to talk about him.
That is awesome. Thank you. I'm not looking at the chat. That's awesome. Thank you.
I've actually watched. I'm a fan of his, so I watch a bunch of his streams. He's really entertaining.
Do you watch him in between Chatterbait videos?
Yeah, well, I mean, I gotta take a break once in a while.
Okay. Jay, would you rather spend a year exclusively going to the bathroom in a public porta potty or not shower for 3 months? So for this scenario, there's a porta potty right down from your apartment.
Yep.
That's a public one. And anytime you want to go to the bathroom the entire year, you got to go to this porta potty.
Entire year, okay.
Or just don't shower for 3 months.
For 3 months.
I wouldn't say a year because a year might be just too much. But 3 months of not showering. By the way, I mean, just to point out, humankind didn't shower for 10,000 years. So
right, I'm going to go with the not showering for 3 months.
Okay. That does sound better to me than porta potties.
By the way, this is part of our game. It's going to be in these cards that you're hearing now will be in our game. And if you have would you rathers that you would like to see in a card game, email it to us, thebrinkofsanity@gmail.com. Your would you rathers might make it into our game. And
Also,
try
also
not
if
to
you're
make it too like inside-y, like Brink of Sanity, like, don't be like, oh,
why don't you just tell them to do whatever they want and and we can judge later.
well, if we get would you rathers, would be like, would Mark rather do this? Like, we're not going to put that in a game. Like, it has to be like
Okay, Jay wants something that's for the general public, right?
yeah.
Okay.
By
By
the
the
way,
way,
think
also,
it would be weird if we sold a game in a store and it would be like, would you rather Mark's ants or Jay's black mold? Like, people could be like, what the fuck is this?
by the way, if you have anything at all you want to plug on the show, just go to if you're in our stream, we'll plug it on the show.
Yeah.
Legal or illegal? Jay, your turn.
Okay, so would you rather lick a New York subway pole or use your friend's toothbrush?
I'd use my friend's toothbrush in a heartbeat.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, I wouldn't be like, "Oh, this is so nice," but Jay, would you use your girlfriend's, your significant other's toothbrush?
I would rather not. I mean, I would.
Let's just say, like I for $1, use it. Do it.
I wouldn't like it, but yeah.
And not that $1 a big thing, but like you'd be so against. Not that you're doing it generally, but you'd be so against doing it. I would be like, I don't love doing it, but I would do it.
Is it like right afterwards and the toothbrush is still wet?
It fell into the toilet first. Which do you prefer?
I mean, no, I don't know. I feel like if there's some time going by, it's different for me.
It does feel a little better if there's a time. Like if she's left the room, it's been an hour, it's a little dry now. Feels a little better.
Yeah. If the like bristles are still wet, it's.
But I
don't
imagine
know.
you kiss your significant other, so you guys are exchanging germs anyway.
Yeah, but I'm not like, licking the inside of her gums, and it's a little different.
My wife is so she anything the kids touch or like eat, she refuses to eat because she's worried about their germs.
Mm-hmm.
And kids get sick a lot, so I guess I understand on some level. At the same time, anything they've touched or they've eaten, I would gladly eat. I have no issue whatsoever. But she can't do the same thing with mice. I'm like, my wife's like, I can't. I'm like, come on, like you can't have my germs. You already have my germs. Stop it. So she can't say anything about that.
Yeah, I don't know. When we first started dating, I was a little like, I don't want to eat from your food and stuff. Now I'm just like, whatever. It's like, we're both going to catch whatever we have. So what's the point?
Okay, Jay, if I gave you $20, would you use my toothbrush?
No.
$50, use my toothbrush. And it comes right after it comes out of my mouth.
Absolutely not.
100?
No.
Really?
Really?
For $50, I'd use your toothbrush.
All right. And then I would throw that toothbrush out.
Wait, okay. What? Okay. $500. Would you use my toothbrush? By the way, I feel like our game should have some kind of like element like this with money.
I mean, I'm hoping that when people do the would you rathers, they continue it like we're doing.
I don't know if they will, but I feel like, and we can talk about it off the show, but somehow involve like, would you do this for money kind of thing. That's the one thing I couldn't figure out how to put into would you rather.
Right.
Okay. Jay, would you rather fake a stutter at a job interview or get a noticeable erection at a job interview?
Fake a stutter. I think you can get pity points. You can play that up. There's really no talking your way out of an erection.
I'm sorry. I just really want this job. I'm so excited about this interview. You have just no idea.
All right, Mark. Would you rather your fingernails grow 1 inch every day, all of them, or your hair grows 2 inches every day?
Okay. I can cut either.
Yeah, but you'd be at work with like pretty long fingernails by the end of the workday.
Can't I just? I mean,
you don't go to the office, so it's probably not as weird for you. But
I mean, let's pretend I go to the office. Who cares? Or I can just cut my hair. Like I think the hair one would be more annoying. On the reverse side, which would you rather not have grown anymore? your nails or your hair?
Nails. I think nails are just annoying.
I feel like I'd rather have my hair not grow. Like my hair, like just like keep the same length I want and just not grow anymore. It'd be less annoying. Like
I'm probably
nails
less
are pretty-
annoyed because most of mine fell out.
Yeah, that's true. But I guess the nail thing, I feel like it's annoying every day to have to cut my nails, but like an inch is a pretty lot. It's a lot of nails.
It's a
to
lot of
grow.
nail. It's a lot of nail.
Yeah.
Like if you hold up a ruler, you're like, holy shit, that's like a long nail.
But for Halloween, I'm just like Wolverine every year, or Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, I mean, you could stop a week
Or-
before Halloween and you're pretty good.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad.
But if you're like, you went on vacation and you like forgot a nail clipper, it'd be pretty weird.
Okay. Would you rather spend a year only parking? And I'm going to assume you drive for this one in your parking places. Would you rather spend a year only parking in handicapped spaces, even though you aren't handicapped and don't have handicap tags,
Mhm.
or spend a year unable to walk? And by the way, for the first one, you have all the consequences that come with parking in a handicapped space.
Right. Like people might see you and you have to explain it. You might get a ticket, things like that.
Yes, tickets. People think you're the worst person ever, or
Yeah.
just spend a year unable to walk.
I'm still going to go with the parking in handicap spots.
Okay. Okay. I feel like it would be pretty awful to have to explain to people why you're parking in a handicap space all the time.
I would fake a limp.
Yeah, no. You can't. You can't fake a handicap. You can't fake to be.
You
You
can't
can't
even
pretend to be
fake a
handicap.
handicap?
No. You can't fake it. I might have to add this. Might have to add that into it. But yeah,
Right. I'd still do that.
I would just say you have to just tell people, I just want to park here. What's your problem?
Not being able to walk is pretty bad.
You're gonna be in a wheelchair for a year. Okay. What's your next one?
It's a lot of a year's a long time. Okay. Would you rather sleep with your significant other while their brother or sister sits right next to you watching silently, or sleep with your significant other while your best friend is there heckling you?
I don't think I want to be heckled. I feel like being heckled would just be worse.
It would probably.
I don't want to hear my friend be like, "Nice dick."
I mean, it would be terrible. On the other hand, like your wife's sister is just like sitting in a chair, like weeping to herself. Like it's pretty
Maybe
bad.
she likes it, or maybe we just won't see that part of the family anymore.
It's like, well, bye forever.
Would you rather walk around naked in Times Square until you fully naked until you get arrested for indecent exposure?
Mhm.
Does that sound good to you or bad to you?
That's bad. Yeah.
Okay.
Anything that
And
ends
you-
up in arresting and indecent. I mean, you might end up on the sex offender list if you do that.
Or you shave your head,
Mhm.
tell everyone at work you have cancer, keep the lie going for an entire month,
Mhm.
then tell everyone at work, "Gotcha."
Glad I wasn't drinking during that one. Wow, that's
You're like, I'm sorry, you don't. Yeah, gotcha. It was hilarious. Remember, I did actually have cancer. I just shaved my head. Anyway, I appreciate all the money you donated, though.
damn. It's like almost definitely getting registered as a sex offender, or basically you have to find a new job.
Yeah.
I think I'd still go with the gotcha because it's a smaller group and you don't have to register for anything. You're just a dick.
Yeah. It's kind of tough, though. Okay, what's your next one?
I feel like you're better at would you rather.
Not all of them are good, but yeah, go.
Okay. So would you rather have your parents live with you for 6 months in their bed in your bedroom, so they're sleeping in the same room as you,
Okay.
or your boss shares a desk with you, so your monitors are right next to each other and you're sitting shoulder to shoulder
For like how long?
forever?
Just forever?
That's your work situation.
That's your work situation, and I work from home, so my boss can come to my house every day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, who just sit next to you. You guys
Or
are
my
shoulder to
parents live with me for 6 months?
but they sleep in your bedroom with you and your wife.
Okay. That sounds pretty horrible.
Mhm.
But 6 months is better than a lifetime, I guess.
You could switch jobs.
You didn't say I could switch jobs. Why? Of course you're gonna switch jobs.
I mean, it's hard to switch jobs. You haven't switched jobs in a long time. It's not easy.
I haven't switched jobs in so many years, but yeah,
I have 40 interviews to change jobs. It's not like it used to
I'd be motivated because my parents are gonna sleep in my bed. It sounds better.
Okay.
I like my boss, but I feel like he'd be like, Mark, you might want to get a new job because I have to sit here with you every day. Would you rather get 100 people to sign in person a petition in favor of the health department allowing you to kill and eat puppies while explaining to people you specifically mean puppies as their meat is much more tender than dog meat, but our fascist government does not understand this? Or get 100 people to sign a petition to declaring fornication with animals legal if it's part of a monogamous relationship?
Wow. You're way better at Would You Rathers. I think I would go with the puppies.
Puppies are pretty bad. I mean, everyone loves puppies.
Everyone loves puppies.
And you're telling people you want to fucking eat the puppies.
You know, at least you're sustaining yourself, not like illegally fucking animals. Which
You're just saying you're trying to get a petition declaring it. You're not saying you're actually following through. You're just saying if it's a monogamous relationship, it's fine for me to fuck my own sheep.
heavily implied.
Heavily implied. I'm not saying I'm doing this. I'm just saying.
Inferences will be made.
I'm just saying I have a happy dog at home.
All right. So would you rather try to kiss the first person you see on the street? So basically you close your eyes, you open them, whoever it is, or try to fight the first person you see on the street. So this could go either way for both scenarios.
Either way, it's going to be a fight. It's just a matter of how you get to that fight.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm going to go with kiss because I don't know. I could be like, oh, sorry. I thought you looked like my wife, and I don't look like your wife.
You could probably
my wife's got a butt.
explain that one away a little easier. Yeah.
Would you rather convince everyone in your life that you have become sexually attracted to your car and plan to marry that car?
That was a real news story.
I know. Or fake your own death and move to Zimbabwe.
How's the weather in Zimbabwe?
That's probably better to convince everyone. Yeah, I like fucking my car. The car's so hot. My car is so hot.
I don't know. I feel like Zimbabwe sucks. So
Can you imagine like telling past girlfriends, "I'm sorry, you did not complete me like the way the car does."
I would probably go with the car. I feel like Zimbabwe sucks.
Zimbabwe.
What am I going to do in Zimbabwe?
Now in fucking Zimbabwe. What the hell do I do here?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's lovely this time of year.
I don't even speak Zimbabwean.
I'm going to say that's not the language.
I'm pretty sure it's not either.
What's your next one? I have a few more, actually, if you have none more.
That was 5. I wrote one other one. It's not great. Would you rather would you rather drop your phone in the toilet after you took a dump or pet a subway rat?
I mean, I could just get a new phone. I'm gonna go with the phone thing. I could fish it out of there.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably broken anyway, so I'll probably just get a new one at that point.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not petting a subway rat. There's no fucking way I'm doing that.
Subway rats are like...
Holy shit, they're disgusting.
I was gonna do take a bite of the pizza from Pizza Rat, but there's no way anybody's ever doing that one.
I mean, also the like if you have a mouse in your house, I don't know if you've had a mouse. If you capture the mice, they're small, they're a little cute. They're not like disgusting, even though they're disgusting on some level. If you've seen a sewer rat or a subway rat, they're fucking just so gross.
So
I was in the subway. I'm standing on the platform. A rat is running at me 150 miles per hour. I just see it coming at me. I don't know what the fuck to do. And thank the Lord it just runs by me. But like it runs right by me. And I'm like, I don't know why it was running at me. I don't know why it ran by me. If it ran on me, I would scream like a girl.
So I went to a friend's birthday thing on the west side. And if you know Manhattan at all the way on the west side, there's sections where there's like not much going on. There's like big clubs and then space with nothing.
Yeah.
So I leave and I'm alone and I make a left down this street and there's like nobody there. And I kick a can and there's a bunch of garbage bags to my right and about 30 rats run out of the garbage cans. And there's like a stampede going across where I'm trying to walk. One of the rats runs right into my shoe. It almost like makes me fall. Yeah, I went home and I threw out the sneakers. I was just
Oh my God.
It was bad. It was bad.
Along those lines, let me find this one. Would you rather knowingly sleep rather knowingly sleep with bed bugs for a month? You know there are bed bugs, and you're sleeping in that bed for 1 month, or knowingly sleep for a month in a room with a family of mice loose in the room. So the mice are running around the room.
Right.
The bed bugs are in the bed with you. What is worse for you?
Oh, Jesus. Those are like my two worst case scenarios. I'm going to go with the mice, though.
Yeah. I mean, the bed bugs will actually bite you.
Yeah.
Mice
might
I don't
bite
think
you, but they probably won't.
I can hope the mice don't get in the bed. I know the bed bugs are actually in the bed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you rather have to pay for everything for a year exclusively in pennies, including your rent or mortgage,
Tens of thousands of pennies.
or spend a year being only allowed to pay for things with crypto, including your rent or mortgage? And that involves also convincing your bank or your building to let you pay for in crypto.
I'm going to go with the pennies just because I still have this glimmer of hope that the crypto is going to be worth a lot more. And if I like bought a Snickers bar with crypto and then found out it's now worth $10,000, I'm going to be so upset.
I feel like crypto is it's supposed to be currency, I guess. It's so goddamn hard to spend. Like you'd have to like find the 3 places in America that accept crypto as a payment. It would be so annoying. Whereas like the pennies on some level, I could buy dinner with pennies.
Yeah.
People would scream at you, but at least you could buy things.
Yeah.
Would you rather spend your first month at a new job faking a bad stutter, and after that month you tell everyone you don't have a stutter, but you thought it was funny, and you can't leave that job for a year? Or spend a year at that job faking a stutter, but you were allowed to leave the job after a year and not tell anyone you were faking? So either you fake a stutter for a month and then just like tell everyone you were faking and be like, ha, I was faking, or you spend a full year faking that stutter.
I think I'd rather do the full year faking the stutter.
Than actually have to tell people about the stutter.
Yeah. Play the long game.
Yeah, it would be really I had a phone call with someone the other day. I didn't know going in that they had a bad stutter, and it was just like I was like, oh, it's just like you feel so bad for that person, but it's such a painful conversation also.
Yeah.
That's why I probably should not write two things about stuttering, but I guess that's why I did.
I mean, we're going to have 100 cards for each category, so it's
Okay. Would you rather spend a year converting to a new religion you do not believe in, going through all the necessary steps, or tell everyone you know that you are autistic even though you aren't?
go with the religion one.
You don't want to tell everyone that you know that you're autistic?
No.
Mom, I just want to let you know I'm autistic.
We're just about out of time. We have 2 questions.
Do the questions.
thebrinkofsanity@gmail.com. Lorenzo writes, last episode, Mark wanted to know what I spend my 5% pocket money on. If you remember, they throw 90% of their money, 95% of the money in a shared account, and then they have 5% for themselves.
Yeah.
Okay. So he wants to turn it into a guessing game like he did his great moments in Brink history.
Sure.
Clue number 1.
Okay, go.
Mark shits on these almost once an episode.
Toilets?
This is something he spends his money on.
Something that he spends his money on that I shit on.
Yes. So
you know what? I've been shitting a lot on crypto, on the NFT world. So I'm going to guess that
NFTs?
is what he's saying.
Okay.
Because I've really been going on that topic a lot. Is that right?
You got it. Clue 2 was they are fun, but definitely non-fungible, and it's NFTs.
So I for next show, please let us know if you've made any money with the NFTs. I'm very curious.
He says only the NBA Top Shot ones. It ties in with my NBA fandom, and it's a really cool collecting experience if nothing else. Mark also shit on essential oils last episode. My wife is big into those, plus homeopathics. I used to be skeptical too, but I'm coming around a little with some of the ailments they have cured for us and the kids.
Okay, please let us know what ailments they've cured, and I want to know if you've made. I think people. I had a friend who was making money with the NBA Top Shot stuff also, or yeah, it must have been NBA Top Shot. Yeah, I that seems like baseball cards to me. So or like similar. So I get that on some level.
Mm-hmm.
But the essential oil stuff, I don't get that on any level. Jay, do you use essential oils?
I do not.
Do you believe in them in any way?
No, but I'm open to it. So if you give me an essential oil and what it did, and I'm open to it.
If my wife brought home essential oils and said we need to use this to cure this, I'd be like, you're fucking crazy apparently.
Well, you'll be like, oh, it's cheaper than the therapist.
I would like go to therapy more. We'll pay. It's worth it.
And on Twitter, we are at Brink of Sanity 3. T. Socrano, which I believe is the one who referred me to Jerry Cinnamon, the musician, which was very good. Anyway, he says, create a movie TV show with your chosen lead actor, actress, a brief synopsis, the setting, and the genre.
Okay, cool. That'll be, we can just write on the spot.
I'll do it.
Have you thought? Okay, go.
So my chosen lead actor would be John Lovitz.
Okay.
I feel like he has not gotten enough work lately, and he's awesome.
Okay.
Genre is obviously comedy.
Okay.
The setting is going to be a comedy club. So the synopsis, it's going to be like the Larry Sanders Show, but it's going to be behind the scenes at a comedy club. He's going to be the comedy club owner. And so it's just going to be basically behind the scenes of having a comedy club and all the things that go wrong with it. And I think it'll work because you could bring in new comedians every week and have them as like the headliners at the comedy club. And so you could get a little bit of their stand-up, but you could also get behind the scenes of, either how they're a prima donna or maybe they bombed a set or like dealing with the booking agents. I feel like there's a lot you could do with that.
Any show I've watched where like, outside of like Seinfeld, I guess, with a stand-up, any shows that usually involve a stand-up comedian in that world aren't usually that, they never end up actually being funny. But I like the idea generally. I like your idea. I like your idea. I'm just saying, like, have you seen like other shows where they try to do something about stand-up, but it's never that good.
I mean, Seinfeld was barely about stand-up. They mentioned.
Yeah. I was just thinking because it was like I was going to say no show, but then I'm like, well, Seinfeld did have to stand up at the beginning.
Well, that's why I think it's unique. It's a unique idea. I think it could work because it's like Larry Sanders was very good. I like the behind the scenes stuff, and like Veep was kind of behind the scenes type of thing.
So yours is behind the scenes at a comedy club, basically.
Yeah, I think that could work.
I'd watch that. I would totally watch that. I like their idea. I'm going to go with an office drama. Building on Seinfeld. Michael Richards hasn't done much since he had that incident on stage. You remember that incident, Jay?
I do.
So Michael Richards for this show gets a job at the NAACP,
Mm-hmm.
And each week someone else shows up at their office being like, "Holy shit, you work here? How the hell did that happen?"
Funny, but I don't know how many episodes you could get out of that.
I don't know if we can do past more than a 5-minute skit, but I'm just picturing Michael Richards working there as being his next thing he does, and the whole time being like, yeah, life's been weird.
I feel like that would be a good SNL skit.
Yeah, I think mine's more of an SNL skit. Do you think also we could have a political drama based in North Carolina, where they have the fight over, or they had that bill about like what bathroom you could use.
Mm-hmm.
But in this one, Pat from SNL is it leads the charge against it, and people have to figure out which bathroom Pat was going to use. you that whole Pat skit couldn't really be done anymore, huh?
No. I mean, people would get really upset over
that. Jay, would you rather eat off the McDonald's menu for a year or eat no added sugar for an entire year?
No added sugar.
Everything you eat at the supermarket that comes in a box or container, including bread, has added sugar. It is, I'm not going to say like sugar's in like fruit, milk, this thing that has added sugar.
Yeah, no, I understand. It'll be
everything gets
difficult, but
it's better for your health, obviously.
One, I need to lose a lot of weight, and two, I don't like McDonald's. If you said Taco Bell, I would want Taco Bell. I don't like McDonald's at all.
Okay. No, I just pick McDonald's because that guy that did the McDonald's movie.
Yeah, no, I really don't like McDonald's.
Okay.
Anyway, we are just about out of time. I want to thank you for listening. Get those Would You Rathers in, thebrinkofsanity@gmail.com. And we will be back soon.
Whoever submits the first Would You Rather that goes in the game will get, are we going to have a directions for the game? Like some kind of like thing where we thank people?
I think
Are we
so.
going to there'll be something where we thank people and we'll thank that person for submitting.
Yeah. I mean, we could do what we want. We're making the game, so.
Yeah, that's true. True. We'll thank you in some way on the game. Yes.
There you go. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Follow Matt Video Games on Twitch, and we will be back soon.
Goodbye, everybody.
It's over.
Goodbye.
It's time to go.
This is the end.